family. This is Francie with Finding Joy Through Serving. And I guess today I'm thinking about being prepared for a disaster. Or, I don't know, in my lifetime, we've never had to be prepared for anything. We've never had a situation where we were quarantined or lost power for weeks or anything like that. So obviously I've been very fortunate. I have lived in another country. I've lived in a third world country, and probably that was the worst I ever went through as far as running out of food and stuff like that, because in that country they did close the land borders and we could not get out in a car. And at the time we were leaving Ghana, we would leave Ghana and we would drive to Togo, the bordering country, and we would drive and we would get stocked up on groceries and we'd bring it back. So that worked until their government had they had an attempted coup or something. I don't even remember, but what I do remember is that they closed the land borders, so we couldn't drive anymore. So at that point you think, well, what are we going to do? Because we didn't really eat the food that the natives eat. And you could probably get bananas and maybe bread and eggs and so forth. But I do remember we all flew. We got airline tickets and we flew from Ghana to Togo, took empty suitcases, and we filled them up with groceries. Everything was in French, and we brought it back with them taking some of it as they checked it through. So I do remember that and survived that. But here, I guess we get comfortable. We think the grocery stores are always going to be there and they're always going to be stocked. And I've never seen a grocery store not stocked until I lived in another country. And so you would go to the grocery store and there wouldn't be anything on the shelves. Now in the United States, I've gone and the shelves have been empty, especially like recently. But I mean, I've gone sometimes and think, why are we low on whatever I'm looking for? And it makes me, why are we low on it? Because this is the United States. We should always have our food. And so I think, or at least with me, I'm just thinking it's always going to be there. Not that I've never been in a situation where it wasn't, because I have, but not in this country. Are we ever going to come to a time where it isn't there? And then what would we do? So I'm just interested and curious with subscribers, how are you prepared for something that might happen? Do you have a certain amount of food stored up, a month's supply of food, a week's supply, 2 months supply, and so forth? I do not. I'll be honest with you. I do not have a pantry. So my storage of food is, I use a cabinet for what little food I keep. So there's not much there. Some soup cans, I think, are there, and maybe some vegetables. I don't have a big freezer, so I can't stock that. There's no room, really. I've got some frozen fruit in there, and I think I've got some turkey burgers in there, and that's about it. So I don't know how long I could survive. If I could not leave my house and I had to eat what was there, I'm not sure that I would have food for very long. A few days maybe. I don't know. So it's got me thinking, well, what could I do? Because financially, I can't just go buy 2 weeks of groceries. I live paycheck to paycheck, as many of us do. That's not a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. And so you think, well, how do I even begin to store up food? And with moving, you don't want to have more to move, So I don't know. It's just, but okay, so let's say I've already moved and I'm in Florida, how would I start to get stocked up for something? And I guess I would just start buying things a little at a time. You know, when I do go get groceries for the week, just add a can of soup or a can of meat or something, and just that's what I would put aside. And then, of course, my dog food and stuff, cat food. I guess if it got down to it, though, they could eat what we were eating. And I think the cheap items, of course, would be rice and beans, two of which my daughter does not like at all, but I guess if she's hungry, she would learn to like it. And so I would definitely, I can stock up on rice and beans for sure, and probably pasta, because my daughter would eat pasta. I used to, when my kids were little, I would just make a chicken broth with chicken cubes and boil elbow noodles in it. For one thing, it was something that a toddler could pick up and eat with its hands, his or her hands, and it didn't make a mess like if I put sauce on it. So, and it had flavor, so they loved it, and I can make it. I still like it. So if I have pasta and I do have a big container of chicken cubes, that is something that you could make for sure. So I guess I could start doing little things to kind of stock up. What I do feel that I have tried to prepare myself is with all my camping supplies. I do have butane. I have a butane stove, so I could cook on that if I didn't have electricity. I now have a battery pack. I have a solar panel. And so in some respect, I guess I can get prepared, and I have some stuff, but the food is just the other issue I need to work on. Ideally, I'll tell you what I would love to do. You know that freeze-dried food? I've seen a YouTuber actually use that when she's traveling, and it looks really good. So it's freeze-dried meals, and you just add hot water to them, and you have your meals. But that stuff is not cheap. So I'm wondering, though, I may look into it. I may look into it and start buying some to store for a little bit, and then I can eat them as I travel and kind of just cycle them through, because you wouldn't want things just to get old and then you can't eat it, and then you've just wasted all that money. So I don't know. People who do prepare, I think, I know the Mormons are always prepared, but I don't know what their rotation is. When you keep food, you would have to have some type of rotation, so the food wouldn't go bad because you would waste that money. So definitely something to think about. And what I think more about, more than like a virus or a disease going through, is losing our power, our energy. I think about that, and our internet going down, and that I've thought about what would I do without power. So maybe I have focused more on losing power than I have the food aspect. And I'm also would like to get a generator. Moving to Florida with hurricanes, I think that's something that's I'm going to try and save for, and make sure I have a generator, because not only can I use it in Florida, but I could use a generator when I travel. So just kind of interested in what do you all do to be prepared for, I don't know, whatever might happen in the United States, where we had a situation that we couldn't get out, we couldn't go to the grocery store, or we could not get things to the grocery store. So the shelves become empty, there is nothing there. How would we survive? What are you doing to prepare? If you're preparing, do you think you need to prepare? Just wondering what everybody's, what you do, and then if you do, where do you store it all? Do you have a place in your house that you store it? I know of people who live in RVs and vans and tiny homes, not sure where you would store something, extra food. So just curious what everybody does, and in this time, with our scare with the coronavirus and stuff, I don't know what to think about it all. I do know that the media does hype things up, So we have to take that in perspective. So hopefully it's something that's going to end soon, but it seems like it's been going on for several months, so I don't know how soon it's going to end. I did email the college we're going to visit in Florida to make sure, you know, they weren't closing down or calling off all visits and stuff like that. So we have a meeting tomorrow morning before all the students get there, a mandatory meeting. So I have to make sure I leave early. So I'm not sure what it's about, but I have a feeling it's probably about the coronavirus situation. Though I have been wiping down my desk every day and spraying with Lysol. Sometimes I use the spray and paper towels, and I try to be conservative with the wipes because I just have the, you know, we have to be conservative. So, but to still clean everything as well. And I use the spray as well, so I kind of do it both ways. I get a lot of residue that builds up, and I'm not sure why. It may be the lab tables, you know, because they're not normal desks. They're fire resistant, chemical resistant surfaces. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about being prepared for whatever situation might happen here in the United States. How do you prepare? How do you prepare to have food? What about power? What are you going to do if we lose our power? And yeah, so comment below and let me know what you guys do. I'm kind of interested. Maybe it'll give me some ideas. I know I think about rice and beans being inexpensive, because you know the first thought, I don't have the money to do that. Well, I need to. That's an excuse. That is just an excuse. So I want to be more active about things. Rice and beans are not that expensive, and I do like rice and beans, and I have a rice cooker. But if I didn't have power, I would do it the old-fashioned way. So anyway, all right, y'all take care. Let me know what you think about all this stuff and how you would save up for whatever disaster might happen. Y'all be blessed, and I'll talk to you in the next video.